Here we go. Look, if you want to find ways to improve your business, if you're curious about running your contracting company like a business, and if you want to work smarter, not just harder, if you want tips and tricks and shortcuts, and you really just want to solve the frustration you might be feeling in the areas of time, team, money, growth, sales, and marketing, then welcome to the Cabinet Maker Profit System podcast. This is where we talk about the business of the construction and contracting business. So you can learn exactly how to move from feeling like a contractor with a crew or with a shop to becoming a business person who just happens to be a contractor. And yes, there is a difference. Today's guest is Carly Montoya, and our topic is closets and garage floors business, how we changed and adapted to the market as a contractor. Pretty interesting. Let's see the world through her eyes and see what we, that's you, can learn. Can you find nuggets of wisdom for your business? I'm also going to throw a coaching challenge on the table for you here today as you listen, because I want you to listen very carefully to what Carly has to say about ideal customer, sales process, and evolving as a business owner. How do you put that in place in your business? That's the coaching challenge. What would be the impact if you did put something you learned here today in place in your company? Is it even worth it? What would be the first step? When would you take that first step? It's a lot of questions, I know, but I'd also like you to imagine if your company was already doing what we learn about here today. Well, let's find out and look at this coaching challenge from Carly's point of view today. If something Carly shares today helps you save just an hour a week, then you just got the answer on how to get 52 hours a year back. That's 2 days of time. Or what if something I share or Carly says today shows you something so you can save $100 a day? Well, over the course of a year, that's going to be something like 25 grand back in your pocket. Let's get to it. Oh, Carly, I can already tell this is going to be a fun interview. You and I are both checking our teeth on the camera and smiling and goofing at each other.
Yes, we're gonna have a good time for sure.
Yeah, it's taken a long time for us to get here, hasn't it?
I know. What took you so long?
Oh, nicely played. Wow, good. Okay, we really can see how this is going to
Yeah.
go. Well, I have a production schedule as well, just like you do. I mean, you're a closet professional, so you guys are producing product, putting them in people's homes. Part of what I do is produce podcasts, and I like to have my podcasts produce 6 to 8, maybe even 9 episodes in advance.
Nice. You're organized.
I like to be organized because I like to fish and hunt.
Yes.
And I get very annoyed when I have to do a recording. Like, you're a lovely person. I want to interview you. But if I need to interview you on September 10th, which is opening day, I am not very happy. So I like to produce in advance. So that's why it took so long to get you on here, because we already had 9 episodes in the bank, I call it.
Right. Nice. Well,
Right.
I'm
So that's
excited
my
to
whip,
be
my
here.
work in progress.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I'm glad that we are finally doing this. So
Yeah. And then we had Eric on the show. We've had a whole run of closet experts.
yeah.
And then that's how you and I connected. And you're the incoming president.
Yes, president-elect of
President-elect
ACSP.
of the ACS. And just to get this out of the way quickly, what is the ACSP?
The Association of Closet and Storage Professionals.
Love it. Okay. Let's loop back to that later, because I want to hear about your origin story. People listening to this show are all in a very similar situation to where you are now. They just might be a little ahead of you or a little behind you in their growth pattern, but that's what we want to talk about today.
Okay.
Right? So, Carly Montoya, who the heck are you? And how is it you come to be speaking to all these forward-facing construction and contracting business owners all over the world?
What a great question. Do I want to tell you what my husband said who I am?
Oh, I think this is probably fantastic. Yeah, it sounds like, okay, if you prepared that much. Yeah.
I was asking Joe a minute ago that you were going to ask that question. I said,
Right.
Who am I? He's like, you're stubborn, you're strong-willed. I said, okay, but I'm also a mother and a wife and a good friend. I'm a people person. I'm a giver. I'm a helper. I'm a connector. I am proud to be a woman, Hispanic, small business owner,
Yeah.
this industry, because it's not very often that one, you find women
Right.
in the industry,
Yeah.
and two, just within our culture on this side.
How do you mean that within your culture?
Well, typically in the construction business and, in contractors, you don't find one, a lot of women, but mostly with, Latinos or Hispanics. They're
Mm.
usually not business owners,
Mm.
or as often.
Mm.
And so I'm excited, with this journey that I've taken with my husband. Uh,
Yeah,
it has been a journey.
it is. Hey, that you make me think of, we're going to get to this journey because
Yeah,
you guys started this business from scratch
we did. I mean, I was in the closet. I've been in the closet for about 13 years.
in the
Um,
closet industry.
in the closet industry, yes.
Yeah, because when you say
But
you've been in the closet for 13 years, that's a different show. We don't do that show.
yes.
This is not my topic here. It's just a
Yes,
different show.
yes, yes. But being in business independently has been about 3.5 years.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think, and people probably already know this about me, you're never going to find a bigger fan of entrepreneurship than me.
Oh, yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it. And even if people don't like the word entrepreneur, because first it's hard to spell. Let's agree.
It is. Is it E before you
I
or EUNEU or
yeah.
UE?
Listen, everybody listening who's worked with me before is laughing at my typing because when I do coaching with people, we do it by Zoom, right? And so we're live on screen, and I'm working on a Word document that has all the to-dos and the actions and the thought process or building a system. So I'm typing on screen. Well, I'm a horrendous typer, but I'm a great speller, and so I can see the mistakes. It drives me nuts.
Do you
That's
have
why my hair is
Grammarly?
this color.
Yeah. Do you have Grammarly?
Yeah, I do, but I don't use it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Because
Although it's a great point. You should use those tools for
yeah,
customer
I mean,
communication.
when you are in the go, go, go mode, it's just helpful. It's a
Hmm.
great tool to, keep you going faster.
Yeah. You know what? I think I'm gonna write that down as an option. I wonder if I could use that during my coaching, except it's going to give me alternatives to what I want to say. And sometimes I don't want alternatives. I just want to.
Well, I think if you get the pro version and you set your settings to the tone, whether it's
Hmm.
casual, formal, informal, then I think that, that helps.
Well, thank you. See, we're sharing some stuff here.
Yes, we are.
We are.
Anything to make things easier for sure.
Yeah, well, I need to make less typos. Sometimes I make typos so bad the computer doesn't know what to return, but let's leave that. Um, Today's topic, because I want to set the tone for the topic, is get unstuck, how we changed and adapted to the market as a contractor. So that's going to be cool because everybody here is going through some sort of change or transition, or, and I like this topic, they might be stuck.
Yeah.
Stuck in the same place, feeling like they've been stuck for years, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, chicken with my head cut off. I'm pulled in a million directions. These are all things that I hear, and you're
I've
just
been all
nodding.
of those things and more
Oh
in
my
the
God.
in the
Yeah.
journey, definitely.
So let's go there. How did you get started? Let's start way back from the beginning.
Oh gosh, my background is in retail, and so
Ah,
I never thought I would be doing what I'm doing today. Now, I will say that I did know that in time I was going to have a business.
hmm,
Um, I thought I was going to have a little like children's boutique, or I was going to have an upscale consignment thrift
sure.
resale shop because that's, one of my hobbies. I never thought that I was going to be a design firm doing closets,
Wow.
garage grade cabinets, concrete coatings.
Wait, isn't that every little girl's dream to grow up and be a
Yeah.
garage
Oh,
coatings
yeah.
expert?
Absolutely. I mean, to
No.
learn, you know, how chemicals bond to the concrete and how to repair and yeah, how to mix A and B and what ratio. Yeah, that's every
Yeah,
little
that muriatic acid is a good thing,
yeah, yeah.
right? Yeah.
I never thought I was gonna be doing this, but I will say that, it's been a journey the last few years.
Mm,
I am in business with my husband. We ventured out to stay in the closet. So, I come from retail when back in 2010, when the economy had shifted, I was working for Lilly Pulitzer, the best retail store I have ever worked
What's
for.
it called? Lily Pulitzer?
Lily Pulitzer, and she's a real person too.
And what
Um,
does Lily Pulitzer sell?
High-end resort wear. So
Oh.
it was literally my dream retail job.
Hmm.
Our corporate meetings were at the Pink Palace in King of Prussia
My
and
goodness.
the Breakers in West Palm Beach every year.
Yeah.
Um, it was very specialty, and it really was full circle because I started my career in retail being a children's buyer. So I managed a store and would buy Lily for mommy and me outfits. And then when they went full retail, I was the first store in Texas to open
Mm.
and the first store in Texas to close in
Oh,
2010.
as a
So
store manager, though, not as an owner of a store.
not as an owner, I was a general manager. So I went through the whole process. My background in retail was towards the end of my career opening retail stores. And it just so happened that the stores that I was opening as a manager were like new concept stores. So like
Ah,
Ann Taylor Loft, when it was a new concept, when the super Targets came in, I worked for Target as well, opened a new
wow,
Target.
that's a different.
It is. And it was a challenge because I remember going in for the interview at Target and overhearing some young girls at the HR desk whispering that, oh, they're not going to hire her because I came from luxury retail. And
Well,
so it was
no
almost a
offense, but
yeah,
yeah, it's luxury retail to Target or Target, as
yeah,
we call it, to make it sound
yeah.
fancier,
But it was a
is.
challenge. I was like, oh, I'm going to get hired. But I will tell you, I learned a lot
Mm.
working for Target. Their systems, and this, of course, was back in 2003,
Oh, I love this. This is, yeah.
2003, when super Targets were coming in. I mean, their back of house organization, I mean, they had a process for everything. And I learned a lot. I worked there for about a year. To this day, though, I will never wear red and khaki together, ever, ever.
You just remind me
Um,
of that show Superstore, even though it's,
yeah, but
um,
I'm a huge fan because they've come a long way, and I learned so much. But it was new stores. What brought me to San Antonio was opening Destination Maternity. So again, a new concept store. But when I went to work for Lily, I thought I was going to be there forever because
sure.
literally I found like the gem. But when the economy changed, everything changed.
Yeah.
2010 was the end of a decade or the beginning of a decade. It
Mm.
was the year that I turned 40. I was like,
I
what?
remember 40.
Yeah, my
Good
store
times.
closed. What am I going to do? The economy changed.
Yeah.
I had come with a lot of experience. Interviewing for other retailers was, taking a $20,000 salary cut. And I know retail to know that, when you are in that position with the economy, that just means that in management being salaried, you're working, two positions,
Yeah.
you're taking a pay cut. When you do the math per hour,
Oh,
you maybe come out $12 an hour,
yeah.
after 50, 60 hours. So I had to figure out what was going to be my next step. And I thought, okay, this is going to be a time where I need to do this. And luckily my husband said, figure it out. And so I am a girl that
Now,
like,
sorry, what was your husband doing at the time? Because this sounds like at this point you're working in retail, he's doing something else.
so him and his family, they had a family business in San Antonio for about 40 years. And they
Hmm.
did TV repair. And so this was a time where TVs were not disposable.
I was going to say this needs some reinvention. That literally is,
Yeah.
guys like me joke. No, we don't joke. When we try to draw an analogy to things needing to change from the past, we talk about people that used to manufacture buggy whips
Hmm.
or catalytic converters,
Hmm.
or I'm now going to start using television repair.
Yeah, because they had up to 6, 7 locations in San Antonio at one
No
time
way.
in the
Okay.
80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the
Wow.
80s, 90s. And this is when you, just like if you had a washer or dryer that needed to be fixed, you would go and get your television fixed. So it was TV repair, VCR repair.
VCR repair.
Yeah, Blu-ray, VCR. You
Oh,
remember all of those things? So
yeah.
when that became much more disposable and his dad, he's no longer with us, the business closed. And so at that time, my
Mm.
husband was working in the family business. And so we were lucky enough to have the flexibility, for me to figure it out because, he had the family business. And so I made a list. I made a list of things of like, okay, what's going to be my next step? Why am I in retail? It wasn't because of Black Friday. It wasn't because I was working 60 hours a week. It wasn't because of the discount, although I did get a really good discount at Lilly, I will say.
Yeah.
It wasn't for any of those reasons. It was because of the relationships that I built with clients.
Oh,
and so
that's what drew you to it, not the creative side, but it was the relationship side.
Yeah, the relationships. I mean, being in the dressing room with a client and hearing their story, and just through my years of retail, from working in a maternity shop, having young women, maybe, their first pregnancy and their excitement.
So excited. Yeah.
I was a wedding stylist at one time. So, that special occasion. Lilly was definitely resort wear. So it was, fun and happy. So a lot of these women were coming in for social events or vacations. There's a lot of conversations that were had in the dressing room.
Right.
And so it was, because I like people, and
no.
I just like everyone. I'm related to everybody.
Well, did you grow up in San Antonio?
I did not. And you're going to laugh because I grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Okay, you're right. Well, you learned something new. And by the way, the background you have on that's San Antonio. That's the San Antonio skyline. For people who can't see that, this is also being recorded as a video. So it's on YouTube. You can see Carly's smiling face and San Antonio. And that's a nighttime picture.
That is a daytime photo, yes, and it's our downtown area, and I love our San Antonio downtown area. I actually live about 5 minutes from downtown.
Oh gosh,
so I love the
looks like I haven't been to San Antonio. That is a pretty city.
Oh, you need to come. I'll take you to have some great Tex-Mex and some great margaritas.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm dying to go back to Austin just because I want to go back to, I think it's called Stubbs.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so
How
good.
could you be in Austin and not come to San Antonio? We're literally in good traffic an hour away.
I was down there. This is a super funny story, so I'll interject it. I was down there because I was actually training a franchise company.
Okay.
Right? Because there's companies that do franchising in this sort of space. And I was down there doing a training for them. And you're going to laugh, I had never seen a Cabela's before.
What?
I know, it doesn't make sense. So I stayed in Austin an extra day just so I could drive to Buda, Texas.
Buda?
Mm-hmm. Buda. Okay, people are already laughing at me. It doesn't matter. I drove just to see a Cabela's. I'd never seen a Cabela's or a Bass Pro Shops in my life.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I stayed an extra day just to drive down there. And then just one other funny thing, as I drive up to the Cabela's, there is a flock of turkeys in the parking lot next to the store. And I'm like, that is either the smartest place in the world for them to be or the worst place in the world for them to be.
So is Austin been the only city that you've been in Texas?
No, I've been to, a bunch of others. I'm going to Galveston in this November and then next November again.
Okay, so right outside of Houston.
Yeah. Well, just right. Yeah. And I've got clients all throughout Texas. So I've got lots of clients in Texas. That's one of the hot spots for construction.
You need to come down and visit San Antonio.
I may be on tour.
It's interesting.
You know what you need to do is you need to book me as a speaker at the ACSP.
Oh, I think I have some pull. I might be able to do that.
Shameless plug. Okay, I want to get back to you again. But listen, before we jump back to the story, you mentioned something that I found really interesting as a business coach, as an entrepreneur. Lilly Pulitzer and then Target, very different brands. Mm-hmm. How well did each of those brands understand their ideal customer?
Oh gosh, that has been, I think, in retail, that really it prepared me for what I'm doing today.
Oh, thank you. So good. Okay.
Because in every retail company that I worked for as a manager within the leadership team, we went through extensive training. Mm-hmm. And it's not just the product. It is about the consumer and how they buy, how they shop. It's very lifestyle driven.
Hold on. You make me so happy right now. Yeah. You just said something else important. The training you do at these high-end, very mature and established companies, not about the product. It's about the
consumer, the person,
the customer. Yeah. So everybody listening here, we're in a trade, right? We're generally in finished wood trades, cabinetry,
Yes.
architectural millwork, closets, furniture. Please understand the reason I'm asking Carly these questions is not because I care about retail. That's a different podcast. It's not mine. We're talking about how to have the most impact and influence and grab chunks of market share from other competitors in your market by listening to what Carly's saying right now. When I ask the question, how well did these two super brands understand their ideal customer?
That is really the foundation.
Oh, so
Fortunately for me, in my experience, um, you know, a lot of retail, Ann Taylor, Saks, specialty. I mean, my background has been in specialty. That was my first retail store, a mom and pop shop. Worked there for 8 years, back in a time where you didn't have computers, you didn't have all this advertising. We picked up the phone and called people to invite them into our store. We created in-store events. We wrote out thank you notes. Like, there was a requirement, 5 to 10 thank you notes, handwritten. New product came in, we picked up the phone. I mean, it was old school, right? Late 80s, early 90s. In any of the retail stores that I worked after that, I went through extensive training with Dillard's. I went through their executive training program and did very well. I was promoted every 6 months in different departments. And then I went specialty with specialty stores like, Ann Taylor, Saks.
Right.
Target was more of a challenge because it was so new, the concept. And I was familiar with Target because I was from Michigan, their headquarters in Minneapolis. So I understood that. I liked shopping there. I understood the marketing piece of that.
And how did those decisions get made to line up with the ideal customer? Like, did Lilly Pulitzer, which is a brand, or Target, which is another brand, did they make decisions based on our ideal customer wants this? Our ideal customer demands or needs or appreciates or recognizes?
Yes, because since they're considered in retail lifestyle, right? Lilly especially, Lilly is very specific to the Lilly girl, right?
I'm sorry, I don't know what that means. I'm so sorry,
so
but
the Lilly girl being multi-generational. Lilly is a real person. She there's a lot of history, and so it was very specific. The designs that came out, the product that we were selling, the visual merchandising, the setup of how the stores were put together. It was all about the experience. When you walked into Lilly, you felt like you were in Palm Beach, right? We had literally a palm tree in the middle of the store. We served specific cocktails and drinks to bring that lifestyle into the store for when people walked into the store,
right,
and what that meant. There's a whole story behind it.
Yeah, and so what I'm really interested in here is that kind of buyer is very specific. This is a premium brand, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
Blouses or like some sort of clothing item, what did it start at? What would a minimum retail price be?
Day dresses would start at about $128. Little sandals would start at about $98. And of course, this is back in 2010.
So
specialty, you didn't find mass quantities. You would come in. It was very special.
So people listening right now are wondering where the heck Rubino's going with this, but I know where I'm going. I can buy.
Target was the same way, though. I mean, you have exclusives, right?
Yeah.
So.
But it's a different customer.
Yes and no, because the Lilly girl that shopped and bought $98 sandals for their 13-year-old daughter, also shopped at Target.
Oh, okay.
And the reason is for the experience of when they walk into the store.
Perfect.
At Target, we would work long hours. So if you shop at Target, anybody that's listening, like if you grab something off the shelf, be so kind to put it back if you don't want it. Sure. Because we would spend hours at the end when the store would close, putting everything back at the end of the day. There was no such thing as just these piles, right? It was just constant upkeeping of the store, because when the customer walked in, it was about the shopping experience.
Yeah. And so that's what I want to draw everybody's attention to here. This isn't, it sounds like we're having a conversation about retail, but we're not. We're having a conversation right now, at least in my mind, about making sure that what we do, the customer journey, the customer experience we provide to the person buying closets, in your case, kitchen cabinets, maybe
Mhm.
garage outfitting, could be custom furniture. That's the people who listen to this show. I want everybody here to understand your customer is going through a journey as well. And if they're used to buying high-end cars and clothes, that's a premium client who's willing to pay a little bit more, which means more profit for you. That
Right.
means you have to align your buying how they buy from you with how they buy from other places.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes that, I think since 2010, when the economy changed in retail and things started to become more self-service,
Mm.
right? They started eliminating certain positions in retail and, the checking out yourself. I think today what I see and what we do in our business is we're really kind of taking it back to that service that had been neglected in the last decade.
Mm.
I think that today people have a choice and they're going to shop or buy for the experience. It's going to be really important to them because you have the internet, right? So you can get something in a store today, or you can go to Amazon.
And just buy it
But
and
right,
not leave the house. Yeah.
but sometimes you want that experience.
Now, what did you carry over? What did you carry over that's unique from your retail experience to the closet industry? And you'll know that it's unique because other people don't do it. And you look at them sideways and smile and go, huh, I know something you don't. What's that thing?
It's really about the experience with the customer. No matter what it is when they're coming in, I want them to know that it's like the conversations that we would have in the dressing room.
Mm.
Today, we're having them as an investment right in their home. So it's definitely listening more. It's not about selling. We thrive in our business about being the solution
Right.
and not just trying to sell them something.
Yeah.
Because that's the conversation that we would have in the dressing room. We would try on 5 or 10 dresses, right, to make sure it was the right fit,
Mm-hmm.
make sure it was within their budget, making sure that they felt good with what they were buying and
Sure.
that they understood if they were buying something on sale, they needed to understand what the return policy is, right? So in our business, I definitely take a lot of those things that I learned in retail and incorporate
Yeah.
them
It sounds
into
like
our
you
business.
explain them very well. And it also feels to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but do you have a process where
I
like,
do.
oh, you answered
I
that very
do.
quickly, and I'm
I
happy to
do.
hear that.
I
I'm
do.
doing a special kind of training right now for a closet company. Fantastic group of people, very high quality. The team is great people.
Mhm.
But right now, the big discussion that we're having in this training series is what's the customer journey and how do we help them buy? Because selling is something you do to somebody. So
Right.
you go to a used car lot and they're going to sell you a car.
Right.
But when we're buying cabinetry, closets, all of the things that we care about here, you want to buy that. And I call it consultative selling. You had a slightly different word, but I want to help you. I'm an expert in this field. I'm going to
Mhm.
show you how to make the right decision based on your
Right.
needs, your budget, your home, the direction
Absolutely.
it's facing.
Absolutely. Because the industry has evolved, since COVID. I mean, there's so much out there,
Mm,
and everyone has a different solution and they offer something different. And so the best way that, for me as being a small business and being
mhm.
different, is that we sincerely, genuinely mean that we want to be the solution.
Yeah.
We're not in a box. And so we have to go through all of those touch points. I'm in the process of putting even stronger processes together on that journey. But, I spoke about this at the last closet convention where I talked about contracts and what you should have. I don't like to call them contracts. I prefer to call our paperwork project agreements because,
Agreement.
as I
Sure.
said in the conference, it's an agreement. We as a business and you as a consumer, we are in agreement.
Yeah. I'm going to do
And
this and you're going to do that.
exactly. And
Yeah.
so it's a conversation and it's transparent and it needs to be open communication.
Mhm.
It can't be one-sided because if we want to be able to give good service, we need to have that partnership in agreement to the project. They're going to
Yeah.
be happy and we're going to be happy and then everybody's happy.
Can you, I'm so first of all, thank you. I'm glad you're doing this and you're intentional about running your business,
I
which,
am because as a family business, it's my husband and I.
right.
This is what takes care of our family. So
How
this
many
is
kids do you have? How many kids?
Oh gosh, I have
Yeah.
two adult children,
Yeah.
and I have my youngest is going to be 17 in a couple of weeks.
Nice. I have a 17-year-old as well.
Oh gosh, the times have changed for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you
So,
know, my
but you have a family that like and everybody here is in the same or some, their own version of the same situation.
yeah, they
We're
have their
doing this
life.
business because we have a life and we're trying to keep that life. And, one of the things that I've been hearing more and more, maybe in the last 10 years,
Mhm.
is that the people that are business owners are also leaders in some way in their family, and they're responsible financially for taking care of their parents.
Yes. Well, and I think, for us too, for my family, it's my mother-in-law that lives with us because my father-in-law passed away.
Hmm.
Both my parents are gone. And, my son is 17. And so when I think about my future, and this is just Carly, I'm an analyzer. I don't think about just tomorrow. Like I'm a planner. I'm
Sure.
thinking that, like, June 1st, we're mid-year. We're going into third quarter. Like I'm
I
already
love
in
it.
third
That's
quarter,
right. We're
fourth
going into
quarter.
the third quarter. That's Dommy language right there. Yeah.
Where do you want to be next year? So besides that, my son is 17. He's getting ready to graduate his
Hmm.
sophomore year. 2 more years. He's going to be a junior and then he'll be a senior. And so we're having those conversations because we're getting mail of, college and universities and things like that. So
Sure.
I think about that, like, oh my gosh, he's 17. He's going to graduate in 2 years. I'm going to be, 56 in 2 years. Where is he going to be at 21? I'm going to be here. Like, how do we leave him to be prepared to be successful? And then how do we take care of ourselves, my husband and I,
Yeah.
as we get older together? And we still want to have fun because we're still young.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. You and I are the same age, and I agree.
Yeah, we want to hit all the, I'm a big live music fan, so I love music. So,
Okay.
I'm seeing like, oh my God, Tina Turner just passed. Like, I want to go see all these great people before they're gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm so sad that I never got to see her because, when you hear them on the radio, we just think they're going to live forever. But yeah, I'm a planner, so I think ahead. And so in this business, definitely, I thought a lot about that back in 2010 when I decided that do I go find a retail store to work for,
Right.
or do I venture out and figure this out? And what is my why? And that was my why, is that I wanted to be able to have more time for my family.
Hmm.
And, it's taken, and not to say that I have all this time now, because let me tell you, as a small business owner, we know we work 7 days a week. So, but it's different.
Yeah. Time management for business owners is a different thing.
It's a
But
totally different.
if you don't mind me sharing this with you, time management is really about priority management. That's
Yes,
what it
it
comes
is.
down to. But to an extent that most people aren't comfortable with. I have to be brutal to myself about my priorities, and first has to come first. That's
Yeah,
it.
that definitely has been a challenge for us because again, as a husband and wife team,
Mm.
we've definitely
Oh,
a lot
yes.
of character in the last 3 years.
A lot of character in your marriage. That's a great way to say
Yeah,
it. We're
absolutely.
stronger now than we ever
Oh,
were,
we are
right?
so tight.
We have been tested by fire. Yeah.
But we're different. My husband is very different from Carly.
Mm.
I wouldn't say he's an introvert. Joe is definitely, he lets me be Carly. Let me just say that.
I love it.
But we have that balance. So yeah, definitely
Yeah.
time management is sometimes a struggle for
Yeah.
sure.
Take me, and I don't want to go away from time management because that's a subject near and dear to my heart. It really is the core of success for any position. It doesn't matter if you're a judge, a doctor, a lawyer. It doesn't matter if you run a gas station. Time
Mhm.
management is critically important, especially for the leader of the business. And I think sometimes we forget we it's not that we forget as business owners, but it's just so much normalized that we are responsible for a lot of people and a lot of things.
Yes, I mean, I just said this yesterday, when we have a go back on a concrete floor.
Mm.
And, I say this all the time. Joe and I have these conversations like, okay, how do we figure this out? That means we need to do more training. So it doesn't happen again. We got to be proactive because time is money,
Yeah.
efficiency, productivity, experience for the customer. So yeah, everything that I think about in our business, it does revolve around those processes, the time management, because that just means more work for us as well. But we want our crew and our team to feel empowered as
Mm-hmm.
well. That nobody likes when you have something that happens on a job site that you have to go back to, because then it feels like they did something wrong, or it didn't, you know,
I know.
the being proud.
It's not why we took the job. We didn't take the job to do it. Or as you may have heard me joke about on the show, this should never be printed on your company t-shirt. We do it right because we do it twice.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You never want that.
Yeah.
Never want that. Let's change gears a little bit.
Yeah.
The customer journey. So I come in as a lead, however I come in as a lead. What are the general steps you take me through to get me to be not only a customer, but a super happy customer who says, you got to talk to my best friend, my mom, my sister, my uncle, etc. How do you guys do that?
We run most of our ads on Google. So we have a great partner in that with our Google ads. And I went through quite a few different people. We ran Facebook ads and they were so gimmicky. I didn't like that, kind of cheesy. And of course, it just depends on who your audience is. I wanted our message with gathering those leads to have the consumer know that, we are the people behind our business. We live in our community. We care about our community.
You're real.
We're real. We're not robots. We don't live in Thailand behind a keyboard. So we keep it very simple. And I say simple. Not everybody thinks that Carly's way is simple, but because I say, don't text, pick up the phone, get them on the phone, because it's different when they hear your voice. So if a lead comes in for us, that's the first thing I do. I'm usually the girl calling, and everybody knows that. Carly, you call them. Because
so you're the first call. How long do you wait between getting the lead and calling them?
If I'm sitting at my desk and that lead comes in, I call them right away.
And what happens if you wait a day?
If you're waiting, they're calling. If they found me on Google, that means they're searching. So there's going to be other companies right under me. So they're going to go down that list, right?
Right.
So if I don't answer, if I don't call them right back, the next person that they inquired is calling them back.
Actually, so I have to give you a high five on this, because just before we started the episode, before we did the 5 count countdown, you called your husband and said, you got to answer the phone because I'm doing the interview with Dom. So that is a very tight closed loop on that part of the system. Congrats. That's giving you a huge compliment here. That's great.
Because we pay for that call.
I know, right? Yeah.
If we don't answer, we still paid for it.
Yeah, true.
So we want to definitely pick it up because we want them to know that we're a small business.
Yeah. And then, so now we've got the lead. It came in through various means. One of them is Google ads, online ads. You pick up the phone. What are you trying to find out in that first phone call?
I want to know about their project. Tell me about your project. Now, this is very different because we do cabinets and closets, but we also do concrete coatings. So it's a different system. Our concrete coatings are free consultations. We have to see the floor. We have to know what we're walking into. We need to see the condition of the concrete. We need to get the measurements. We need to understand what they're trying to solve.
How full their garage is right now, if you can't see the floor.
And really, and I say this to every lead that comes in, and it's been somewhat of a challenge because within concrete coatings, you have Chuck in the truck that is buying product, off the shelf. And they are just going to come in. And so their price point obviously is very different than ours. And so to let the consumer know that we're not out there to sell you. We're not going to give you this hour presentation. We want to understand what the expectation is. So we know where the expectation is for you, so we can align ourselves and you to figure out, or not to figure out, but to know or determine, are we going to be the right fit? Because we're not going to promise to do something if we're not confident that we're going to be able to complete that job.
Wonderful.
And I would rather say to a customer, that's really outside the scope of what we do, and give them a referral to call someone else, because the time for us to figure that out and to not be confident, and then it goes sideways, that's a lot of time focusing on figuring that out when we could be taking care of the customer
of the next incoming call. Yeah,
exactly.
So you qualify. That's the qualifying stage, by the way, for those of you who are familiar with the terms of the steps for helping people buy. So first we get the incoming call, then we qualify them. And what I like about what you're saying there is you're trying to make sure they fit your. It's not, please, I need your business. Let me find out how they can come up.
Yeah, we're small, so we're not looking to take 20, well, one, we can't because we do 1 day install. There's not enough days in the calendar. But, we're not about taking and taking and taking. We want to do a job from the beginning to end right. We want the customer to be happy. We want that 5-star review. That's what we work towards. With our concrete coatings, it's a free consultation. We go out there, we'll measure all of that good stuff. Now with cabinets, it's different.
Sure.
Closets and garage cabinets are different. We'll go for free. And I say free, we go on our own time, right?
Yeah. So let me just add something here. I hate to interrupt you, but this whole free estimates thing is a thorn in everybody's side. But what you actually are providing is free estimates for qualified homeowners.
Yes.
So it's not for everybody, because not all leads are the same. We do free estimates for qualified customers. And so now that gives you the right to say, I have some questions we need to ask. What's your budget? What, why do you need this? When do you need, right?
What's your timeline? Because
what's your timeline is so important. I love customers whose hair is on fire. I got to get this done in 2 weeks because X, Y, and Z is happening. Well, that's excellent. And now what's your budget? I don't know, but we're going to find out together. So now I know their need. I know their timing. I know their budget. Oh yeah, we'll do a free estimate all day long because it's a qualified customer.
Well, and it's an important question to ask when you're doing that qualification is to ask them, have you ever done this before? Have you ever had concrete coatings done in your home before? Have you ever had custom garage grade cabinets installed in your home before? Have you ever had custom closets or cabinets done inside your home before? I love that question because then we're getting really deep into, well, I want to know, how was your experience with that? And then 2, if you have done that, who did you do that with? And why are you not calling them back?
Oh, such a good question. Yeah.
Because it sets me up to understand what's important to them. And then we can have that conversation of, this is what our process is. Yeah. Because if they've done it before, they're going to assume that my process is just like ABC company out there.
So one of the things that's important in sales, I know we talk about it as helping the customer buy, but we're selling. It's still in the world of selling, right?
Yes.
And sales is where a business starts. We have to bring in jobs so that our people can produce the jobs, and that's how we pay their wages and keep the economy going, right? Everybody thinks sales starts when you show up at the customer's house and you got to be a great talker and this and that. Look at Carly's nodding her head. No, the buying process or selling starts the minute they call me. That's where I start to qualify them. As you've got some great qualifying questions, by the way. Ask them great questions. Listen very carefully, because I want to help this person. I can tell you have passion. You're passionate about what you do.
I love people. I want to help people.
Right. And that comes through, but I can only help. This came through the Kara Woodhouse interview. Great quote. I can't help you build the home of your dreams if I don't know your dreams.
Right. Oh, that's good.
Isn't that good? She's an awesome interview. I know. Kara Woodhouse. Episode 3 ago, whatever it was.
The interior designer, right?
The interior designer from New York. I can't help you build your dreams if I don't know what your dreams are. And by the way, everybody else, Carly just wrote this down. Write it down yourself. Use that when you're talking to people, because the better qualified they are up front, the easier it's going to be to bring that client on. And I always try to keep this in mind, Carly, and sometimes I need to be reminded. What we're doing becomes a conversation at somebody's kitchen table. And I want them to say, let's say it's myself and my wife. We've got 2 quotes in front of us, and Carly came in 5,000, 7,000 more than the next guy. We want that couple to say, you know what? I just trust Carly more. I think they can do it. I like her more. And they'll go, okay, well, let's go back and see if she'll do it for 60, if she can knock 500 off, whatever they want to do. But you still are getting your premium pricing for a client who's all in on the decision versus just a price, which the other person got reduced to price.
Absolutely. And when we go out to those appointments, even for floors, because we don't, our standard isn't epoxy, it's a polyurea, costs more, we go direct to manufacturing. We are using premium products. And the reason for that on the concrete floors is because we do, quality custom cabinets. If that floor fails and I've installed cabinets, and if I have to redo that floor, then that means I have to take off cabinets. That's not good for us. So, it starts with the floor in a garage, and then, it all has to work together. A customer's not going to come in and buy quality cabinets and buy cheap product for a
cheap floor. No.
You're just not gonna
So,
do that.
there's so many directions I could take this interview. We might have to have you back again.
Oh, well, I love to talk.
So do I. Um, um, let's go return a little bit more to the center of this discussion, which is around how you guys reinvented yourself, how we changed and adapted to the market as a contractor. Because if I understand correctly, you didn't start with floors.
No, I
Right?
didn't even start with closets.
Oh, okay.
When I left retail, I thought I was going to be a wardrobe consultant. I was going to go get certified to help people dress their best
Okay.
and like wardrobe fundamentals. I became a member of AICI, which is an association for image consultants.
Oh my
And I
God.
signed up 3 times to take a master class. And I was going to spend, I think it was like $12,000 for a
Mhm.
weekend. And they canceled on me 3 times. And that's when my husband said, I think that's a sign.
God is telling you something.
I think that's a sign for us not to spend that money. And so, oh my God, but this is what I want to do. Because when I put my mind on something, one of my faults is that I I've learned in the last 10 years is that I have to kind of allow the journey to take me where I need to go.
Mm,
Carly 10 years ago, 13 years ago was like, no, this is what I'm going to do. And I would like want to force that to happen.
mm.
And once I let go of that and said, okay, this is a sign,
I'm
then
looking at the notes from earlier when your husband was asked to describe you.
yeah,
And I just scribbled down a few words. One of them was stubborn, but I don't know why that would be the case.
strong-willed.
Strong-willed. Yeah,
I
saying it in
call
the
it
comments.
passion.
Passion. Okay. Yeah.
Um, I said, okay, so I decided that I'm still going to do wardrobing, and I started with offering services for closet audits, and so that was new. This
Like
was
a Brene Brown type thing?
no, it was kind of like what you see now with purging closets, organization, a lot of closet organization. That
Sure.
wasn't happening a lot. Professional organizers had like their system, and I didn't want to do that.
Hmm.
I didn't want to, put pretty labels on things. I really wanted to help people. And so with the closet audits, it really was a tie into helping people still feel their best, women or men. So I, started with closet audits. I represented a brand, J. Hilburn, when they first launched with custom men's clothing. And so let's talk about wardrobe, how to take care of your clothes,
Mm,
how to store your clothes for longevity. Your clothing is an investment in you. I want you to feel good, look good. It was that concept.
sure.
Once I started doing closet audits, closet audits is a pretty name. I was basically like the housekeeper in the closet.
Mm,
Like I had clients where I would go and help them pack. I would clean out their closet. I would return clothing for them. And they paid for my time and my expertise for that. It's like,
sure.
don't hang cashmere on a hanger. You want to fold that. This is the way you want to fold these clothes to maximize. So that was the retail piece that came into the closet,
Right. Yeah.
how to maximize your space, right? Once I got into that, then they started saying, can you just tear this out and give me a new closet? I didn't know how to do that. And I was really nervous because I didn't necessarily understand like how to read a measuring tape. I was the girl that could look at a rolling rack
Yeah.
and say, okay, that will fit here because I understood clothing.
Right.
I didn't understand the 1/8 of an inch and tolerance and this and that. Didn't understand any of that. And so I started doing some research. I'm a huge advocate on LinkedIn. I've been on LinkedIn for the last almost 15 years since it launched.
Hmm.
And so I started Googling closet companies, like, where do I learn this? This was
Sure.
in 2012. So I went to work for California Closets.
Oh, do
I
you know
didn't,
Eric then? Eric was a guest on the show a few episodes ago.
I do know Eric, but I didn't know him then.
Sure, of course. Right.
Right. So I didn't know that there was a California Closets in my market. They were in transition at that time. There was a owner and new owners coming in. And so I found the owner on LinkedIn and I sent him a message saying, hey, this is Carly. I do closet audits. I'm in the closet,
Yeah.
yada, yada, yada. And they weren't hiring. And so at that time, I went back into retail for a short time. I went to go work for Michael Kors, opening shops inside shops.
Hmm.
That's those handbag shops that you find in department stores. I did that while I was trying to make this happen.
The closet thing happened.
Yeah.
And when did you and your husband decide that you're going to start the closet business? Like full on, we're going to be installing closets.
So you mean, when did he decide he was going to get into the closet with me?
I love how you keep saying into the closet, and unfortunately it's got a different connotation. But yes, when did he decide he was going to get into the
right
closet?
before COVID. Right before COVID. We
Excellent
didn't know.
timing. Congratulations.
Yeah, excellent time to start a business, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right before COVID, because I had been saying to him for a few years, I really need some help. I had been with Cal Closets for years, and I left when my father-in-law was on his last months of passing. And unfortunately, I lost my dad, lost my father-in-law within a short amount of time. So didn't know that was going to happen. So I think that's why it was, when I left Cal Closets for family, it was all in timing. Like it was supposed to be that way. But I didn't think I was going to go into closets. I really didn't. I just needed a break and spend time with my family. Sure. But my phone kept ringing, and it's like, okay, how do I figure this out? That's when I found ACSP, and I kept saying to Joe, I really need some help. But Joe, at the time, the family business had closed when my father-in-law died. And so Joe partnered with a buddy of his and became a licensed private investigator. And so he was doing some
That's kind of cool.
It's kind of scary. So he had done that for about 4 years or so. And I said, you really need to stop doing that, because it's getting more and more dangerous. And it's like, okay, it's not worth doing that. And so I kept saying, I need help. I need help. And so finally, when he said, okay, let me help you, then is when it's like, okay, we're going to do closets. And then COVID happened. And it's like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? I couldn't get product. Everything shut down.
Yeah. Supply chain disruptions, shortages,
it was
substitutions.
We didn't know what was going to happen. And so then I said, you know what? I started getting calls actually for garage stuff, garage cabinets. Like, okay, people are now in the garage.
They're nesting in place, right? So they're like, how can I make the most of this space?
You know what it was? It was, my kid can't go to school. We need to have a dedicated space in the house for school. So they're turning garages into, this is where we're going to set up school. Independents are trying to figure out how to make money for their families. You had a lot more of like content creators doing things in their garage.
Sure.
People were cleaning their garage and selling stuff online, Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, all that stuff, and just trying to figure this out. So I started getting more of those calls for garage organization. Sure. And then, of course, in my market, everybody's moving to Texas. Literally, everybody's moving.
Well, except the people that are moving to Colorado, which is the other place. Oh, and the people moving to San Diego. That's the other place.
San Diego?
Oh, my goodness.
In California?
Yes.
Wow.
You know what? It's the most beautiful city in the world.
It is.
I have to say. I always bug my parents that if they'd stayed on the boat for 2 more days, I'd be from San Diego.
Well, I was at the last the conference before this last closet conference was in San Diego, and I could see why people want to move there, because it's
gorgeous.
Beautiful.
I know it's California, and that's its own thing.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
Yeah.
I would move there if it wasn't so expensive. The people just started calling. Everybody moving to Texas, lots of new build. So again, I was on LinkedIn and reached out to an acquaintance who was manufacturing garage cabinets. And so I snuck into Chicago. I flew into.
Oh, I'm like, yeah. Oh, I remember that. Right.
Yeah, I flew into Wisconsin and then drove to Chicago to have a business meeting. And while everyone was online fighting about politics, I was like, we were getting to work. We had to figure this out. Like, what are we going to do to take care of our family? And so we got, what I thought we were going to do was do garage cabinets. And then floors were introduced to us in the way of like, oh, what's that? I see 5 trucks of crews. And so I thought, oh yeah, we could just do this as an add-on.
Right. And now, so take us forward to today. How many crews do you have doing garage floors?
We have 1 crew. We're still with 1 crew. The challenge has been floors is a whole different thing.
It's a different business.
Oh God, it so is.
Do you know what? And it's interesting that we're here in the conversation, because that happens in our industry a lot. Like people, let's just go straight to cabinets. People say, well, we build cabinets. Oh, and we do installation too. That's a completely different business. And not that you can't do it. It just adds complexity. And it doesn't add complexity like +1, it's +10.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in the closet industry. It's the same thing in some aspects of furniture. It's the same thing in some aspects of architectural millwork, like doing buyouts or stuff. That's another thing, unless you're doing it, with systems and with people responsible.
Absolutely.
And you have enough volume to support it.
Absolutely. So because we couldn't get product for garage cabinets, I was able to get product for closets, but we went full force. We spent about $30,000 to get started, to get equipment. We had to buy a trailer. My husband traded in his SUV and bought a pickup truck to pull the trailer. We got all of the supplies that we needed. We rented an office space. And it was, we were supposed to be in the closet. I was like, we didn't need all this stuff. I could work from home with services, but it was exciting. I think that if I was to do it all over again, I would do it all over again. I would just do things a little bit differently.
Who's your mentor in this? Like, do you follow anybody or watch anybody? I mean, you came from California Closets and they were kind of the brand maker. They kind of made the category.
Oh God, they're amazing. I learned so much from them. I'm a huge fan still. I have friends both at the corporate level and designers across the country. I think that is super important in any industry that you're in, is just to connect with other people in what you're doing and build friendships. Not just like, oh, you're my friend because we work together. I mean, these are individuals at Cal Closets that I'm still in touch with today. And I haven't worked there in about 4 or 5 years.
Right.
So that's relationships.
Those are real human connections. Yeah,
they are. And some of them are there. Some of them are doing other things, which is great.
Yeah. You learn a lot.
You do.
Too often in all of our industries, we get insulated. We get up in the morning, we get in the truck, we drive to the shop, we do our work, we drive home. And we start to think, we get very insulated. We think that's the world. And everybody drives down the same street I drive, and everybody parks where I park, or we goes to the coffee shop. And that's not the case. Everybody else has a different life. And if you start to only look at your own experiences, you've stopped learning. So joining you're never going to find a bigger fan of associations than me. You're never going to find a bigger fan of franchises than me.
Yeah.
Not that you have to be in a franchise, but boy, you can learn a lot from franchises because they literally run on systems.
They do. And I will tell you, I'll never be California Closets, but
no, you don't have to be.
It's nice to have, like, I just posted this in our private group page for ACSP. I forgot what website it is. They listed the top 6 closet companies for 2023, right? Container Store was overall, although Container Store is a retailer, but Inspired Closets, Closets by Design, Closet Factory, all the big boys. Most independents would take that and be like, oh, franchises, whatever. But you learn from that. What I loved about that article is that they have this whole graph that pros and cons of each company.
Sure.
So you look at the pros and you look at their cons. As an independent, that's great information for me to have.
It's fantastic information.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Because then I can say, okay, how can I be different in offering a service? Because as an independent, yes, we're doing the same thing, although we're different. I don't do free consultations for cabinets. I charge for my time because I come with this experience. I've invested in learning this experience, and I'm still invested because I'm a part of associations. We pay for different things. That comes with knowledge. And so I charge for my time. But I love reading articles like that because it tells me what the consumer knows, what she's seen out there from every company.
Yeah.
I think that's important. But yes, associations are important. I have a lot of different mentors. I mean, I follow you on your group page, your contractor. I love that. I love the commentary. I love seeing other people comment like, oh, what's that? Or advice that they might be giving or questions that they're asking. I also am on a group page on Facebook called Badass Polished Concrete Coatings or something. Oh. So I definitely go onto some of those to learn more about what those systems are in that world of concrete coatings and how I can use those systems or tools for our business.
I'm writing that name down. That's a crazy
Yeah.
name.
I'll send you the link. It's cool because it's private, so it's not public.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But I kind of troll. I don't engage a lot because it's a lot of
I find that a lot of people do. And then when I'll post something, like the other day I posted about some sales scripting for, it happened to be the closet space. It's not just closets on that channel, even though everybody listening here is listening to the Cabinet Maker Profit System podcast.
Right.
But that group is for all trades, because I have a second show called Profit Tool Belt. And so everybody comes together there, and it's about the business of contracting, which we all forget and we can't.
So this is one thing I learned in closets. Yes, I could have come out of these, the big box retailer, whatever branded closet companies. One thing that I did differently is that I didn't put myself in that box. And so I don't call myself a closet company. Our closet business is a design firm. We design and we install. And I don't have to do in-house install. If it's a project where I need to bring in an experienced installer or a sub, I will do that. And we have the trades that can come in and
can do that.
knock down walls, do electric, all of that stuff. So we're different. In the concrete coatings, the same thing. We're not chucking the truck. We have a space. We offer this. But one thing that I did in putting all of these tools is I sat back and I started looking at things that were more contractor driven in articles, in research, in tools, and how do those tools work for them, and how could that work for me? Even down to like the numbers and stuff, is understanding that. Sure. I know you're like lighting up because I know we can have a whole other conversation about that.
Yeah. But I got to say, I'm not a numbers guy. I just like the patterns in the numbers. I want to see how they relate
that for your business, because you still got to understand your margins and what does that mean. And I see a lot of those questions asked for, individuals like myself that are coming into the industry. You can't do your business. You can't run your business the way a franchise would, right? And you can't just say, oh, I'm going to outsource material and do a ×3. That doesn't work.
No.
Try doing that with a reach-in closet and see how much money you're going to make.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. So I scaled back and started really doing a lot of research within contractors and how they run their business, how they manage their business, what tools are they using, how does that work for us? How can that work for us? Sure. Because we do custom closets and organizers, we do garage cabinets and organizers, but mainly because of the concrete coating. A lot of times we're competing with contractors that
that they'll sub to Chuck in the truck.
Yeah. So that's why I do that sort of research for that.
Let me change gears a little bit, and we're going to start to wind down now because I've taken a ton of your time. This has been great. I feel like we could talk for 4 or 5 hours, no problem. But when you look at the competition, and I know we're talking about your town, right? But is the bar set low for expectations? Like, do customers have a low set of expectations?
In the closet or in the concrete?
Yeah, well, let's go closets first and then concrete. Well,
honestly, I think that yes, for both, really. I think
when you're in a competitive situation and they say, Carly, you seem very nice, but we're going to talk to another contractor. And you don't have to mention their name, but do you have a contractor that will stay in closets, another closet company that you're up against often?
With closets, I think because I was associated both with Cal Closets and Inspired, those are going to be the two in our market. But, I'm different than the services that they offer. When it comes to that question, or when I'm with an appointment and they say that to me, the first thing that I come back with, that's great. But what's going to be important to you when making your decision of who you want to work with? That's really important for me to know, because is their decision going to be based just on price? And if it is, then I didn't do a well enough job to showcase the value of what I'm going to offer.
Right.
And so then I know where I need to circle back.
Yeah. But price is the only thing. See, because people aren't trained. They don't go to a separate training that says how to buy custom closets. They don't know. So the only thing they can ask, their only script is, well, they've got 2 scripts. Number 1, what's your price? And number 2 is, I'm not sure. I got to ask my wife or husband, like person who's not there, right? That's their out. That's the reason that second person isn't there. And by the way, you should always make sure all decision makers are present and seated when you're doing these presentations.
Well, with closets, because they pay for my time, right? My free consultation is a phone call. I'm happy to have a conversation and hear more about your project for free. It's up to 30 minutes. If I come to your house to get measurements, they've already paid me for my time. So they know that the conversation is going to be, let's talk about what the solution needs to look like. What does that look like to you? And let's talk about where you want to be budget wise. Because I'm not in a box. I don't sell closet parts.
Sure.
I'm the solution. So I have the liberty to work with, we outsource. We have private label manufacturing. So excited. Got a great company that we partner with, but I also have local fabrication. So that allows me to do more custom stuff and really have a conversation to them based on their budget of what they're looking at and what to expect if they're calling another company to come in.
Yeah. Now let's switch that to floors, just as an example. Do you
With
have a
floors,
company that you always, and you don't have to mention their name because we don't do that, but is there a company that pops up quite often, or is it Chuck in the truck, man in the van?
it's both. It's a local franchise. And then it is the subs that are buying, from Home Depot. I think in the concrete world, it's very different. You can go in and create a Facebook page and, be in business for concrete coating.
It's got a low barrier to entry, we say.
Yeah. And there's a lot of advertisement like on Facebook Marketplace of like $2 a square foot, $2.50 a square foot. That's a little scary because in concrete, the two places that are going to dictate price is going to be your labor and cost of materials. That's it. And if you're coming in under $7 a square foot, you got to ask those questions. Who's installing and how experienced are they? And what are the quality? What am I getting for the quality?
Yeah. How big do you want the flakes on your garage floor to be in a week?
We only offer 2 sizes. So.
No, I meant like the flake offs, like the big sheets of when it's poorly applied and it comes off in big. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then do you want cupcake sprinkles of flake or do you want a full broadcast? We only do a full we fully frost it.
Listen, let's do 2 seconds or 2 minutes on the ACSP, the Association of Closet Storage Professionals. But some people listening they don't care about closets, no offense. They're in their own trade association. But the reason I'm asking that is because I have found that when I talk in the beginning about forward-facing contractors, the best contractors are in their own trade groups. Doesn't matter what trade. So why the ACSP? What value do you get? And let's wrap on that.
So, with ACSP, the best thing you're going to get from them is going to be the wisdom and the experience. There are members in there with over 40 years of experience independently that are manufacturing, right? We now have a lot of new members that have come across from CMA because there's a dual membership program where CMA members can get special pricing to join ACSP and vice versa.
Right. Should we say hi to the ED, to the executive director now?
Yes. Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
I'm on the group pages for CMA. I learn a lot from there too. But I think that that's important. Not only am I a member of ACSP and the value, you get the education, obviously, the resources, the connections of people. Just Memorial Day weekend, I was on WhatsApp with a member from Mexico that needed some help on designing closets. And so we went back and forth, and giving him some standards of that closet's too short. You want to go higher, wardrobe, you got to remember this. And so that's what you get is those relationships to be able to call on someone for help.
Right.
That's what I got when I joined ACSP. And so I'm a huge advocate for that. I want to see, I want to help more people like myself when I first got started. Because when I first got started, there wasn't a lot out there that like it is today.
Yeah.
So I want to be a resource to them. But not only am I a member of ACSP, I'm also a member of NABO. NABO is the National Association of Women Business Owners, and that's in the local chapter of San Antonio. And that's really important. Be a part of an association in your industry, but get involved locally.
Right.
Because you want to do business locally.
Yeah, you meet amazing people. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier. We get stuck in a silo. I get up in the morning, I get in my truck, I drive to the shop or the job site. That's fine, but it gets you so far. If you're looking for the next thing to do, the next thing to do is have a bigger reach, talk to more people. Even if you just go in there and you're a fly on the wall, you don't say anything, you're not going to lose anything in your business. Nobody's going to find out your trade secrets. You bought a hammer, they bought a hammer. You bought a saw, they bought it. Forget that there's trade secrets.
You could go to YouTube and get all your how-tos there. I do that.
But people get so insulated and think, well, people are going to hear my secret. You don't have any secrets. The secrets are going to be how you run the operations of your business.
Yes.
That nobody's ever going to be able to. And I do all day long. I tell people, this is how to change your business. but they don't know the right order. They don't know their situation, and they don't actually do it because they don't have anybody to hold them accountable to do it.
Right.
So I go and I tell secrets all day long on how to fix your business, and still people aren't taking my advice. So please, nobody out there think that if you go tell somebody your biggest trade secret that they're going to put in place.
You're
They're
absolutely
not.
right, because I did the closet conference and talked about project agreements. And I can't even tell you how many individuals reached out to me and said, do you mind sharing your project agreement? I'm happy to. I sent them all 6 pages.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt you ultimately.
No,
and you know what? And tragically, most of those people won't do anything with it. But the kind of people who will are the kind of people who always take action. Those are success-minded people.
Yes. Well, and there were a few that I sent the agreement to, and I called and said, I want to make sure you received it, just to build a relationship. And they weren't as friendly as I thought they would be. I'm like, okay, well, have a nice day. But, I did get one email back from a gentleman who had just bought a company that had been in business for 30 years. And so he's the new owner. And there were he's working on processes. And he was just like, I want to thank you so much for being so open and sending this to me. This has been so helpful. I'm glad. That made me feel good, because I want to be helpful.
Good. Carly, if somebody wants to find you in this big, wide world, how the heck do we do that?
You can find me on LinkedIn under Carly Montoya. You can find me on Instagram under CM Closet Design. You can also find us on Instagram, Encore Garage, San Antonio.
Encore, ENCORE?
Garage, San Antonio. You can pretty much find me on almost every platform, whether it be Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. You can Google my name and I'll come up.
You'll come up, yeah. And people can find you through this podcast as well.
Yes, and you can find our business on, Google my business. I mean, our phone number is there. Feel free to call. Our phone number, let me just tell you, this is funny. Our phone number here is 210-664-1999. And the reason why it ends in 1999 is because I mentioned earlier, my husband and I were big music fans. So Prince,
party like it's 1999.
Yeah, I'm trying to find somebody to do a jingle for me, like 664-1999. That'd be
there's lots of musicians who listen to my show.
Hey, I might just have a jingle the next time.
You might have a jingle. I've got professional drummers, like professional touring drummers. I've got all sorts of people who listen to the show. There's people here who make guitars as their fun thing on the side. So you're gonna reach out to Carlisa if you do jingles.
Yes, we're huge music fans. My husband used to work in the music business on the production side. So like our whole family.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for being on the show. So good to talk to you and to hear your journey and your insights into branding, into ideal customer, into the process. And, you run a business very intentionally. And I hope people take that away as the big lesson. Carly is running this business intentionally, and just take that as a watermark. Are you running your business intentionally today? And if you're not, take something from what Carly said and apply it to yourself.
Just start. I mean, we're not perfect, but we are always looking for improvements to evolve. It's not to be perfect. It's just to make things easier.
Yeah. Excellent. Carly, thank you for your time. Now, folks, as you're listening to this, I want you to stay tuned to the next segment so that we can dissect a simple business system together. What I'm going to do is explain a common issue for construction and contracting, all trades. And then I'm going to share a simple tool and how you can use it. So you can think of it as business coaching on the fly. Stay tuned. That's coming up next. Okay, let's do this. Let me start off with a quick dad joke to get your mind open to the opportunities the world provides. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to dissect a simple system with you. We're going to pull one apart. What I'm going to do is explain a common issue for construction and for contractors. And I'm also going to give you step 1 on how to fix it. Okay, so let's go to the first things first. Why dad jokes? Why bad jokes? And why dad jokes poorly delivered? Well, if you've listened to any of these episodes ever, I just want to open your mind. I know you're going to use these jokes somewhere. You might say you hate them, but you still listen in. And in my mind, you're maybe telling them to a kid's baseball team that you're coaching, or you're walking with your young son or granddaughter or something like that. When they're so young, they're just holding your pinky and walking next to you. You just want to tell them a joke. You want to love on them. And the best way to do that as a dad is to break the ice with some corny humor. So I don't know where you're going to use this. Maybe driving your kid home after a game they just lost that they feel like they should have won. You want to break the ice. Maybe you want to be the fun uncle or aunt at the barbecue this weekend. I don't know. But whenever you try to deliver these jokes and you do it as badly as me, I want you to smile and laugh. And if you do that somehow, I'll know I've had an impact. And that's really what I'm here to do. You guys know I love this stuff, right? So I got a couple of dad jokes for you. I actually have 4 today, and all of them are like barn based. They're all farm based. So I went with that theme today, keeping in mind where you might be using these. So here's the first one. Hey, what did the horse say after it tripped? Help, I've fallen and I can't giddy up. Right. Do you ever wonder why Mozart? Did you ever wonder why Mozart hated chickens? All they say is bok, bok, bok. Could you imagine his life's work being reduced to bok, 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 his competitor? Here's one for you car fans, but it's actually a chicken joke. Why does a chicken coop have 2 doors? Because if it had 4, it would be a chicken sedan. I know you're going to reuse that one. You're going to use it in the shop. Go for it. I want to hear it. Now, which side of the chicken has the most feathers? I want you to think on that. Which side of a chicken has the most feathers? The outside. Okay, so there you go. The next time you're asked by the school to be a chaperone on a kid's trip to a petting zoo, you're locked and loaded. You've got at least 4 corny jokes to tell the kids in that big yellow bus to keep them quiet, right? They're going to think you're the coolest parent on the trip when you deliver those as badly as I just did. Anyways, let's jump to the next part of this segment. We're going to dissect a simple system. So here's the situation I want you to think about as a business owner in construction and contracting. You've been running your business for a while now. And for some reason, it feels like no matter how hard you try, you just can't seem to get ahead. And it's kind of frustrating, right? Maybe you're in a situation where you've said to yourself, hey, working harder has stopped working. If there's any industry in the world where people have to work hard, it's our construction and contracting industry. It's based on us working hard. But you've realized working harder has just stopped working. Well, the problem that comes with takes on a lot of different flavors. Number 1, you're overworked. Number 2, for sure, you're underpaid. You know, you're getting your wages, your salary, maybe a little bit of profit here and there, but you don't feel that it lines up with the effort you're putting in. And you might also start to feel like every day feels a lot like Groundhog Day, if you remember that Bill Murray movie. And in your quiet moments alone, you're driving or working on your own, or maybe walking the dog at the end of the day, maybe you're finding that there is an impact on your business from all this stress and frustration, but it feels like the impact is spreading. And you don't know where to start, right? There's an impact on how much money you're making in the company, how much your company can grow, what kind of customers you're getting into the business, the kind of people you have working in the business, if you can even find them. And I have to say, on top of that, patiently waiting on the sidelines is your family. And they want you to figure things out too. The good news is also the bad news. You are not alone. And look, you guys know this. I've said it before on the show. We've been running construction and contracting and subcontracting businesses since way before the Romans, my people, were building aqueducts. So there's really no need for you to invent or reinvent the wheel. We have already decided on the shape of the wheel. We can discuss and negotiate the color, the size, how many spokes, all that stuff, but the wheel is the wheel. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You know, and listen, you guys know I love doing the podcast, but I also host a free training from time to time. And the one that I think will solve a lot of these problems for you, if you feel like you have problems in the area of time management, or operational time, if you feel like you're having challenges in the company around team, you might call it people, you might call it hiring, you might call it finding people. If you feel like you've got a problem in the company that you want to solve around money, and you might say money, cash, profitability, cash flow, accounts receivable, any of those things, then if you like the podcast, come on to one of my free trainings. There's one coming up in about 2 weeks. It's called Construction Millionaire Secrets, but we do it as a live training, right? It's coming up just about 2 weeks. And we dig into the areas, the hot spots of time, team, and money. But what you're going to hear is the stuff they just don't teach in school. And the reason they don't teach it in school is first because the teachers don't know how to teach it, because they don't have the experience and the background. They don't come from the construction industry, and they don't understand the high-level thought that needs to go into this. Where have I used this stuff before? Well, I've used it and I've learned it. By the way, I didn't make it up myself. I had to learn it from my mentors. One of my greatest mentors was my uncle. My uncle, I grew up thinking my uncle was a framer, ran a framing company. I worked for him for quite a while as a framer. And I thought he was a framer. I didn't realize that he owned most of the real estate I had ever driven through in my city, because I was too dumb to ask. But one day I was having trouble in my business, my own contracting business. I was a paint contractor at the time. And he asked me just a bunch of simple questions. Now, I want you to remember my uncle, wonderful guy, came to the country with nothing. He was behind everybody else in school because he came and everybody else was already speaking English and all that stuff. And he really is a self-made man. Great guy, self-made man. And I thought if he walked by you, you'd still think he's a framer. You wouldn't know that he's a massive investor and landholder. But I went to him for advice because, like I said, I'd worked for him as a framer. And I was running the painting company. He's like, well, what's your labor cost? What's your overhead? What's your burden rate? I'm like, overhead? What do you mean overhead? I got a couple of costs, but I do a job and I try to, I add a little bit on there for money. And he goes, look, you got to know these numbers, Dom. He goes, without information, without the right numbers, you're just a dummy with an opinion. Oh, punch to the gut. This is one of my favorite uncles. I'm Italian, so I've got a ton of uncles. This is one of my favorite uncles who hit me right in the face with an honesty brick. If you don't know your information, you're just a dummy with an opinion. Now, he was saying that to me. I'm not saying that to you. But when we go through this training, I want you to understand you're not going to be alone. The training is only for business owners. And we talk specifically, like way more depth than we can get into on a podcast, because I have visuals on the screen and you go through it piece by piece. But we're going to break apart time, the issues around time for business owners, the issues around team, so people, and the issues around money, but at a level that starts at the very highest level, so you can fix the basic cause. If you've got a building that's off square, there's a good chance the foundation's off square. And so this foundational stuff, nobody teaches. You learn about it when you're working, as I have, with some of the biggest, most successful contractors and GCs in the business. You learn about it not in construction trailers, but in boardrooms. You learn about it when you're in family business meetings from companies that have been around for 2 and 3 generations, because they talk very differently to their kids, who then become their presidents and vice presidents, than we do at our regular kitchen table when we started on the tools. It's just a different conversation. So I've pulled those pieces of the conversation out and I put it in this training. That's why it's called Construction Millionaire Secrets, because they are secrets, and it's a live training. So anyways, if you want to come to the training, come and join me. Love to have you there. The way to register or find out more about it is just shoot me a text message. And you guys know my cell number, but I'll tell it to you again. Actually, it's changed. You might have my old cell number down, but Dum Dum here, that's me, put his cell phone number on the internet. And so I have a lot of people from a very hot tropical foreign country who now call me on a regular basis. So I had to change my number. Anyways, this number is better. Write this one down, send me a text, and in the text, just say free training. And then I'll know we'll go back and forth. I'll send you the invite link and stuff, but it's the easiest way to do it. But this number is 315-903-7853. And then just text me and say free training. So the best thing to do is text that number, right? Because then I can always get to it. If I'm in a meeting, I won't be able to answer the phone, but just text me free training at 315-903-7853. And then just say free training. Then we're going back and forth, but it's easy at that point to just get you the info you need. And you're probably on your phone listening to this anyway. So just text me 315-903-7853, say free training. And then I'll send you the registration information, and somebody on my team will probably help out as well, because there's lots of these requests coming in and I want to make sure you get answered, pretty quick. Anyways, I hope that helped. I hope you like the dad jokes. Those are my funnest part of things. And if you've listened this far into the episode, you're going to recognize that the structure of the episode, the infrastructure, the method of construction, using our words, has changed. And it changed because of feedback from you guys. And I want to say thank you for that, because for those of you who are in the free Facebook group, it's called Contractor Strategy Group. And I posted in there and said to everybody, hey, listen, I hired an auditor to come and look at both of my podcasts. Some of you know this and some of you don't, but this podcast is Cabinet Maker Profit System Podcast. I have another show. It's called Profit Tool Belt. And like you do, I'm always interested in quality. I'm always interested in quality control. And I found that I had a lot of waste in my shows. I was repeating myself between segments. You've probably noticed that as well. So the auditor came back and said, look, you really need to clean up your show and have it structured differently. So this reflects that new structure. Carly Montoya is the first episode we've recorded on this new format. Thank you, Carly, for joining me in that. Anyways, I'm always looking for ways to improve. You wouldn't be listening to this show unless you were as well. So you're actually hearing the new form and format and version of the show. I hope you enjoy it. You can always join us in the Contractor Strategy Group as well. If you like, it's just on Facebook. Go find it there. You have to apply to get in, but then you're talking to other business owners as well. I guess the theme that you should be picking up from me is this: go hang out with other business owners, but go hang out with forward-facing business owners. Go hang out with people who are moving in the right direction in their life, who are asking themselves the big questions, and then also taking action, right? You can go hang out with a group of dreamers, or you can hang out with a group of doers. But no matter what, if you're hanging out with business owners, you're hanging out with different people than the people on your crew. And of course, as you know, I'm not knocking anybody on our crew, but they have different intent. You and I think different. And you and I think different from the moment we wake up in the morning. The alarm goes off, or I know some of you wake up before the alarm, but just go with me on this story. Okay, go with me here. One sec. The alarm goes off. What happens? You throw off the covers. You swing your feet over the bed, and before your feet hit the floor, you're already thinking about, well, time, team, money, growth, sales, marketing, people problems. You're thinking about those things before your feet hit the ground. You haven't even brushed your teeth yet. Now, without being creepy, go look in the bedroom of somebody that works for you. And I'm not being creepy here, right? Their alarm goes off. They swing their feet over the edge of the bed. They get up. They go take care of themselves, get dressed, get to work, show up at work, grab themselves a coffee. The buzzer goes off, the whistle goes, and they start to think about work. You see, we just have a different way of living in our mind. And that's why you need to hang out with other business owners who are also facing the same direction. So when I say there's a difference between the employer and the employee, there is a difference. Anyways, we talk more about this in the training, and the more you listen to the podcast, the more you're going to get in that headspace of success, the success mindset, how to get ahead, how to think a little bit differently, the right actions to take in the right order. And I'm glad you're here. I really, really am. It makes me very proud to say that I represent this industry and I bring excellent content, guests like Carly, so that you can hear from them. Thanks for checking in, folks. We'll see you in the next episode.